Mr. Guntram Begle, please come through. Yeah, much taller. Is that better? Okay.
Should be okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much for having me. Topic I'm talking about is smart urban mobility. If we talk about smart urban mobility, we talk about connectivity. But connectivity does not mean necessarily only that we have machines connected. Connectivity means also that we connect people. But before going into the topic, just some figures from our company. Again, I do have to apologize for that, but we also have to make some promotion. Schindler is a family-owned company, founded in 1874, and has currently a turnover of about 11 billion. We are a global company. We are nearly in every country in the world. And the most driving figure most likely is we move 1 billion people per day. This, of course, is also an obligation. It means to move them safely. It means to move them with comfort. And it means also for our customers to provide them with the service and also with the opportunities to have not only to pay for an elevator, but also to create additional value streams. If we talk about mobility, we talk about integration of solutions. In the past, we actually all focused on just the elevator and escalator hardware. And we designed controllers to move people from one floor to the other. In our days, it's more and more important to ensure safety and security in the buildings. And for that, we started some 10-15 years ago with destination control systems. In our days, this is no more state-of-the-art. We talk about access control systems to ensure that only those people who have the allowance to go to a certain floor land also on that floor. This is quite the difference and is one part of a smart building, is one part of a future building. The other part goes into availability. The thing a customer, as well as a tenant or user of an elevator, is looking for is availability. It was mentioned just before, nobody wants to be trapped in an elevator. So everything to make sure that people are not trapped in elevators, that fatigue or that the usage of material is detected before things are happening, is the third bullet point for a smart operation of a building. And this is what I will be focusing on with our product Schindler Ahead, which actually goes into the direction of predictive maintenance. We formed in Schindler some years ago our own company that deals with digitization, and this company is focusing purely on connecting our installations with the people. So we are not talking about Internet of Things in the normal way, where machines talk to machines. We talk about connecting people. For this, we have established 5 centers globally in order to ensure in every country in the world a 24/7 support system. And we have launched the product which we launch right now here in South Africa already in more than 48 countries globally. Why is this important? It's important because the more installations are connected, the more information you have and the better your knowledge base is. Because these machines are starting to learn and they give advices to the field technicians and they inform, of course, also the building owners and facility managers in real time about what's ongoing on the site. And you will see that. So as I mentioned, we call it Internet of Elevators and Escalators, is not connecting machines to machines. It's really connecting all the dots which are involved in the operation and in the service and in the usage of an elevator or escalator to each other in order to allow them the best possible individual service. Now the word really is individual service. Again, conventional control algorithms in elevators and escalators do not give individual service to a person. You press a button for up or down direction, you enter then the car and you give a destination floor. You don't know who is with you in the car, you don't know whether the people go to the same floor, you don't know whether you have the fastest service or not. What we aim for in the future, and we have already available, is that your ride and your access is personalized. And we treat everybody as an individual and make sure that he gets to where he wants to go at the fastest possible way. This goes even beyond, much beyond the elevator as such or the escalator as such. It's actually already when people enter buildings, we can prepare for their appearance on the destination floor by switching on and off lights, by opening specific doors, and so on and so forth. Now this is all done, and I give you an overview here on the complete system. What you see here in this small animation are three distinct different blocks, which for you on the left side, actually it's the individual unit. In the center, you see the cloud system, and on the right-hand side, you see actually what is then conveyed to the building manager, facility manager, his possibilities to inform tenants and users, and what is going towards our field technician. Each individual unit is actually connected to a very powerful small computing unit which permanently supervises the installation, checks all important signals and informations from the installation, and looks into the future, which means, due to the fact that we know how the performance is or a change in a signal will affect the operation, we look into the future, and when this machine finds out that the operation is actually potentially in the near or farther future at risk, then it provides this information into the cloud. So this small, powerful computer is capable to do machine learning and edge computing in order to avoid that enormous amount of data are sent into clouds. But once an information is sent into the cloud, this information is compared with all information available globally from the same sort of equipment. So suddenly, the individual engineer or suddenly the individual has access to the global knowledge base of this particular component, and he will get on his mobile phone information directing him to the fastest way of resolving a potential problem, or advising him which spare parts or which material he's needing. At the same moment, facility managers that have this equipment are informed about the status of the equipment, and our people can discuss with the facility management when the best time is in order to resolve the problem prior to having a problem. So we are predicting and preventing potential callbacks or potential interruption of service during business hours with this. I talked about this device already, and I told you that there is software with machine learning and edge computing capabilities involved. This device is capable to communicate on 4G and 5G. Multiple SIM cards can be connected to VLAN inside buildings if it's strong enough and powerful enough, and is doing a lot of other things. And because of that, we also clearly see that there is a possibility to turn data into customer benefits by, on one side, clearly improving the uptime of an elevator or escalator, by providing insight into what's ongoing in the hardware and software of the elevator. And this insight is not only for the field technician, but it's also the insight for the facility managers, for the building managers, for everybody who is interested in it. But since this device installed on the elevator is extremely powerful and has a lot of computing power, we use it also to create additional value streams, additional operating income streams for our customers, by enabling them to do or to go into some other digital products and create, with advertisement or with other information, additional revenue. Let's first start to talk about the uptime. If you look to a service technician who is confronted with a problem on an installation, everybody here would agree it highly depends on his level of training, level of education, and knowledge of the installed base. Large turnover with respect to people or retirement or whatever is always a source of losing knowledge and know-how. By storing this information globally on cloud systems, we are able to leverage from this global knowledge and give even people which are not yet having the absolute top level of knowledge the right hints and the right information in order to provide an excellent service and an excellent maintenance. And with predictive maintenance, we give our customers the advantage to be able to prevent a breakdown, to prevent an interruption during business hours, and make necessary repair or necessary adjustments prior to an accident and incident. I have here a small movie, and I will go then further into details on this, explaining what is really the difference, the big difference between predictive and corrective maintenance. You see on the upper part and on the lower part the same signals, and as long as the signals are normal, it's of course all in order and all okay. But once the signals get out of order, then a predictive system which has certain levels of pre-warning are able to give you this information much faster, and it provides you with the necessary time to resolve the problems. Corrective systems don't do that. On a corrective system, like we all have it, you just have to wait for the breakdown and run like hell. That's the only possibility you have, because once the breakdown occurred, you just can fix it. And normally, and this is Murphy, of course this happens at the worst possible moment, which means normally it happens during business hours or during rush time and so on and so forth, and you always have an unhappy customer. Let's have a look to this a little bit more in detail. As I mentioned, predictive systems look into the future based on the analytics of the past. And by combining this knowledge over thousands of installations, you can actually predict what's ongoing pretty well, and by the speed of change of signals, you also can predict how much time is left in order to do a correction. Corrective systems don't allow this. They just react, or you have to react to a situation. Now, once a predictive system has actually detected the anomaly, a warning is given, and this warning, as I mentioned, is also given to the building owner or to the facility manager, and he then, together with us, can decide what he is going to do in order to prevent the failure. So, in most of the cases, up to our experience, the two parties agree then to a time window where the traffic is relatively low in order to do this correction, because there is still not yet a breakdown, and therefore actually the interruption is absolutely minimum. At this point in time, the corrective system still would show absolutely all things are in order and everything is perfect. Therefore, the predictive system doesn't have this interruption, and the corrective system still is actually thinking all things are fine until it comes to the moment when there is the breakdown, when there is the problem really occurring. Now, many companies have modems on their installations. And modems transmit data, but modems cannot predict. So just to have a modem or just to have a connection to an installation does not provide predictive maintenance. You need to have this enormous computing power with the artificial intelligence algorithms in place in order to be able to do this. Altogether, we are offering this in a base package which has this connectivity, which has the overview screens for the customer, but it also provides, of course, the remote monitoring capabilities. Now the next thing is inside. And here we change the picture from the benefits for the elevator and escalator industry towards the benefits of the customer. Because at the end of the day, quite frankly, you know, the customer is who pays our bill. And the customer, and in particular facility managers, are very much annoyed when they are called permanently by tenants because of problems which they are maybe already aware of, but the tenant is not aware of. So systems that provide the possibility to inform tenants about upcoming interruptions, about upcoming events, is very much appreciated by building managers and facility managers. In order to provide this insight, and in order to provide it at a level which is not giving all the information out, it's of extreme importance to tailor this down. So we tailor this about 40 million messages which we get globally on down and let them run through engines and symptoms that provide then just the right and the really condensed information towards the customer. So I don't want to go here into the details of how this is done. Of course, it depends on the urgency of what is found by this analysis, and based on that, the individual actions are taken. This all is available for the service, for the facility manager, either on a computer, but also on his mobile phone, because he's actually most of his time not in his office, but really on the site around, and he's informed with all these details 24/7, so he can answer any question he gets on the installation immediately. The last point which I mentioned is actually convenience. Convenience is getting the possibility for additional revenue streams, since the investment in such predictive systems is not necessarily cheap. So we have created possibilities for advertisement and for additional communication, allowing to utilize the facility in its best way. One of the things we need to do is to be able to change the information on the minute, on the day, on the hour, in order to serve customers best, which means in the past you had these displays, but they are never up to date, and updating them is quite cumbersome. Now with these systems, it's easy to access. You have a desktop service, and you just change the information, and you tell by which date and by which hour you do it. You can do it inside the car. You can do it outside the car, because people waiting for an elevator in front of a door is the best point in time in order to show them some ads. And we have excellent feedback from customers which have installed this already, because they really could measure in hotels or in shopping malls the change of turnover by doing these very specific ads at the doors of elevators. Same thing, of course, also available for escalators. We have a good example outside here where there are ads glued on the glass surface. Now, can you imagine it if you would be able to do that not only for the 3-4 guys which are named outside there, but actually pointing out to the minute, to the hour, or now at lunchtime saying, hey, you know, upstairs there's quite some good food at reasonable price available, etc., etc. So having the possibility to change this permanently is something customers really highly appreciate. With this, I would like to end, and I would like to thank you for your patience, for your interest. Thanks very much.
Wow.